Okay, it's the one and only. Yes? Okay. Welcome. Welcome. Please take a seat.
Thank you, sir.
Well, yeah, once more, welcome to the Nedbank Reality series. Ours is to have a conversation and share experiences, our journey, our challenges, our success stories. I always debate as to which is the entry point, but I want to see if your memory serves you well. 2013, Mali, you coming on as a sub. There's an incident there. Do you remember?
Thanks for having me. Definitely, I remember the game.
Yeah.
I remember the incident.
Yeah. What was the incident?
The one where Kaizer.
Said
Kaizer.
Crucial game for us.
Yeah, big game.
Yeah.
That incident.
Yeah.
For me, represents the type of game that I have.
Yes.
Especially against him. His days somewhere on his peak.
Yes.
And I think him being frustrated and the magnitude of that game as well made him to do that, because I gave him 8 out of 10. He didn't expect a guy obviously like me.
Yeah.
Go ahead and maybe our unknown. And because of the height as well,
yes.
Maybe he didn't think body rights, and then I did that, and then now it's always going past the defensively and attacking. But when that 50-50 opportunity got there at that time, he obviously thought, because can
penalty at that time. It's interesting, you're actually talking about toughness. There is a university for footballers called Cosmos, which I would imagine must have prepared for such situations.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
When I went to Cosmos from PJ Stars,
yes.
I was a typical attacking midfielder from Bokasi.
Correct.
Only thinking about going forward. What happens, I didn't really care much.
So that's your responsibility.
It's not my responsibility. Now my responsibility is to be creative, to score goals. And when I realized, I'm going to join Cosmos.
Correct.
And there's a lot of us. And when I say us, there's a lot of the same players.
Correct.
In the country. When you say which position are you playing, he'll either say I'm an attacking midfielder or defensive midfielder. And for me, with what I wanted to achieve, I didn't think I would achieve it if he box someone, because of this a whole lot of the same players. I wanted to be different. And when I started thinking that I want now to improve the defensive part. I want to do both. And that will make me a different player. And now this Cosmos opportunity comes in. It also sort of gels with exactly what I want. That's a better place to learn how to defend. I remember going there the first week.
Yeah.
It was difficult. Because one, it was pre-season, fitness-wise, running-wise, for me it was easy.
It was easy.
Naturally, because we were doing a Cooper test. We do 8 laps, 12 minutes, and I remember I was going past them like nothing. It was easy for me.
Nothing.
And I remember them saying, "No, the season is too long for Qatar." 6-7 months later, I'm still getting tired. The second season, same thing, but the challenge at that time for me was on the field.
Yeah.
Remember, you don't just change how you are or the person that you are.
Correct.
Or how you play just one session. I went there as the person that I am, a creative player that wants to play football only with the ball. I was getting kicked. I was you keep good and
Strong.
like very strong. Mamela, I was getting frustrated as well. And at some point I thought, make it again. Because at that time I thought this is not a team that suits how I want to play. But as soon as again I remembered the reason that I went there, two reasons. One, it was for me to improve the more defensive part of that game. Two, it was a stepping stone to prepare myself for the next chapter, because I went there, I said, because I had 2 years, 2 seasons, after 2 seasons I'm going to a bigger team. That was the plan.
2 seasons, you went to a bigger team.
Yeah.
In your head, you had already formulated which team. Is the dream that real, that clear to say, I have to meander in this journey at some point, but I'm focused on that particular end point or starting points to an extent?
Very clear.
Which team was it?
It was Kaizer Chiefs. Well, before I even turned professional, I had 4 goals that I needed to achieve. One, it is to turn professional. It didn't matter which team. 2, to play for Kaizer Chiefs. 3, to just wear Bafana jersey.
Yeah.
4,
not in the streets.
No.
Yeah.
Like play
an
official Bafana game. And the last one to be in the starting or one of the games that World Cup, to be part of the group that plays in the World Cup.
This finger, there's one finger that's not complete. That's one finger that I'll complete it for you.
Okay.
I'll complete.
So for me, it was those.
This one.
Yeah, it was those ones. And as I was getting there, it was like, okay, 1 down, 3 to go. And when I went to Cosmos already, it was okay, now I'm there.
Yes.
Now I need to work hard for the other goal, which is playing for Chief. Right? And at that time already I was planning for the third as well, to say, Cosmos already I was saying, I was not even part of the national team setup, Cosmos.
But you started saying.
And already I was saying, I'm going to be part of the national team.
Focused.
The second season I remember Cosmos, I said, now I'll be part of the team that plays in the World Cup. I'm very far. I'm not even picked for the friendly games that look at.
Yes.
I'm
but
not even part of it.
The vision is formulated.
It is already there. And then I get to Chiefs 2 seasons later. We play Santos, MTN 8. I score my first goal. I get a corner.
To go to the national
team.
Let's step back a little bit. Social media, your Instagram profile says something to me, which I'm not sure when it was formulated, but I'll say it for you. It says, aspire to inspire before you expire. Take me through that process.
It is about 6, 7 years or 8 years, if I'm not mistaken, when I started my foundation, Yeye Letsholonyane Foundation.
Correct.
And the slogan, something, it is that aspire to inspire before I expire. For me, I felt when I was coaching, that's when I got most of my followers. And I don't take the people that support me for granted. I don't. I appreciate every support that I get, because partly I'm where I am because of them. And there's this young generation that looks up to me. And for me, it was important to be an example on and off the field, because I knew already I will not play for forever. And when the time comes, the whole return, there must be a group of players that have learned from me, directly or indirectly, and that aspires to be like me and achieve what I've achieved or even more. Because I believe the generation after me can achieve more than I achieved. And then they can take the positive so that whatever that I've achieved in 10 years, they can achieve that in 7 years. And then the other 4 years, it is obviously to achieve more.
When you reflect on this 3 ways that I used, looking at the journey that you've traveled to get to where you are, that must have driven you without you being perhaps conscious of it. Because aspirations are there to say, yes, I want to play ultimately for Chiefs, I want to play for the national team. But then you embark on this journey. So the aspirations are there for you to say, I want to do that. That must have taken lots of sacrifices for you to be able to prepare yourself mentally, physically as well, because you're talking about your levels of fitness that was pretty much high. Behind the scenes, how did you prepare for that?
Sure. It goes back before I even turned professional.
Yeah.
I used to train alone every morning. If I get school or after school, I would wear this boots in my
Really good.
I would literally.
And that, you must say, that's pretty heavy.
It is heavy.
It is heavy.
Because and iron. So it's heavy. My dad had one, and the size was smaller than me. So I would wear that and get if you know.
Was he aware of the last?
No, he
knew. Start that time or I got start time.
No, he knew. So if whatever I go, how you got to observe it?
Yes.
Hold bottle.
I know that.
Going bot, that's steep. So literally I would run there around 9-10 when the sun is hot. I will go run there, go up there and then come back. Other days when I lay some like mining, middle and
yes, I know.
I would go there, train there, up and down. When my friends would decide to do other things, I would take my training stuff, go filming and train. So those things in jail, it was part of me saying I want this thing and I wanted this bad, and I will not allow anything or anyone to stop me from achieving that.
Being a youngster or political guy, see there's so many distractions that you would have had, Majita, into so wrong and all those type of things. It must have taken some good foundation from a parental perspective and maybe uncles and some godmans around you to be able to shape your mindset. Who would those people be?
I think it's directly my family.
Yeah.
Already Timer, my siblings, and my late older brother.
Yeah.
My older brother was like a father to us.
Yeah.
He was like a second father, right? Literally everything. He would do anything and everything for us, me with my siblings. And my parents, no time, already suspect. But the effort that they made to make sure that all of us, 6 of us, in a relationship, really comfortable. And you, how many times I don't see that? But as I was growing up, I could obviously see the effort that I had done. Even when I didn't have the soccer boots, they would make sure I get the soccer boots. It's decent to go and play. My siblings, if or something else, they would make sure they get the proper support. And at some point,
yes,
right? And it's 2. It's literally 2, and it's 8 of us. So you can imagine what you're.
There could have been a distraction as well for you, a temptation as well to get into that.
So for me, it was not even about that. And then because of, I think, seeing people have a felt home, how they behave.
Yes.
I think that pushed me away from that. I remember Kali December, Lily Bratzaka, we used to rent it in Yogo, and then especially Kali 31.
Yeah.
Rented in Yogo, and now to the same amount, and then I would say, I'm buying the Coke T21 with the
Yeah.
and then we'll do that, they would do that. And then because of they didn't understand that,
They know your dream. To tempt you to do.
And for some reason I could feel or sense or smell or whatever. Or I shot, and then I would get to them and take another one.
Yeah.
And they would tell me later to say, hey, when I'm because I'm not so bad with solo thing. It's like I don't know how it happened, but it did happen. When I say I don't drink, I've never drank, I've never tried, I've never been tempted, and one answer is I've never had a reason to drink. I've never. And people will say it is fun, and my answer will be I have a natural way of having fun. If I really want to have fun, I do have fun without drinking, without anything. So I don't have a reason to drink.
Now, the aspiration is driving to go out, very much driven to focus on the goal. At the same time, you have Chiefs that you say, I was going to play for them. Now, good Chiefs, the role that you're playing, midfield, and I'll mention the players that were playing in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, there was H who said I was willing to take money to play there. And I'm just cutting a whole lot. There was Fetty Chipamla that played in that position that you're talking about. And there was Dr. Kumar who was there as well to play that role that was there. But Dr. is more the finesse part.
Yeah.
And you got to play with a very tough player. There was tenure. Who would have inspired Yeye to say, I'm going to go to Chiefs and model my game around this particular person? Based on the players that I've mentioned, maybe someone I may have skipped.
One of the things that made me support Chiefs, or few players that made me support Chiefs, Dr. Kumalo, Ace Kuze, the late Shushu.
Yeah.
Right? And obviously they played that role. And for me, when I got there, there was also Thabo Moki. Tiki, top player, top person. There's Tinashe, there's Tom Sibeko in that position. And now they are seasoned players, Kaufel. And you need now to work extra hard on John Cosmos. They don't really know you much, but from you playing against you those games, and then we lost those games.
Yeah. So
you get there unknown at that time, playing sharing the same position with top players. It's the motivation.
There's no stage fright.
No, not really.
Inspiration is driving.
I want to be there. I want to be one of the players. I was starting there. I am there. Whether I'm playing with Tinashe, with Tiki, it does not matter. I want to be there, and nothing else.
Let's fast track and look at you at Chiefs. You mentioned the players that you grew up watching and knowing that these players are actually very good players, and you have to fit in and create your name there. How tough was that eventually? Starting level, good training.
At training, it was difficult. I mean, Wafitara, you are new. There's players of maybe already they are established, and supporters love them, and they feel that the team itself love them, and you now asking questions, or you're asking yourself the question for it. Is it the right decision? To be there? Are you going to play? Are you going to be successful now. So those questions, they are tlhagelela, and they tlhagelela based on the people that are there, and maybe the training sessions, the way these are marketing. Remember, now it's different. It's a different setup. You move from a setup that Cosmos, where now you train kids how what's and then you get to an environment where now every time of week a basket that has short 2 pairs of socks, short and long, 2 pairs of shorts, 3/4 and short.
Hold on to that, because I think there's a bit of a sense of humor that we need to declare in that way, because we're part of this institution. And I think those that are going to watch the series, it's professional.
Yeah.
It's professional.
Yeah.
I went through that. But the fascinating part that people don't know, because those baskets, it's a double checkers. We can pay. Because those are the baskets that I'm thinking when I got there. Because then I brought in my toilet bag. Hey, you want to taste that picking page? But we forgot about that because we looked at it as professionalism. You had to watch your kid, and suddenly I'm thinking, what am I going to do back in But to all of us, suddenly have a kid manager that puts your kid together and you go there to, I don't know if it was Jackson in the time.
Yeah, it was Jackson.
Because Jackson, and they give you your kit and you go. Continue, I just wanted to share.
Yeah, so you get the Reneilwe basket in a number. There's 3/4 pair, there's a short, there's 2 pairs of socks, long and short, there's 2 shirts, vest and long.
So you choose.
And then weather changes, there's a sweater now. Weather changes, now there's a rain suit. Like now already it's like this is a lot. Yeah. And mind you, I'm saying this is a lot, but that's how a professional player should be treated. And that's how a professional setup should be. But because I don't know that, the only thing that I know is the ones that I've experienced.
So you well when you choose one?
No, you choose the one because of when they give you that. It is for you to be comfortable.
Yes.
So that you don't stress about I needed a short. It's cold, I needed a long pant. So they want you to worry about your performance.
Yeah.
Right? And all of those things now we question what you say. Is it the right space, the right decision that you make? You made the players that are playing with, yes, am I going to compete level? Am I going to win the coaches heart? Do I deserve to be there? And even if I do play, I know the stress side supporters. Am I going to impress them? One of them. So now the questions that they get back. And then I'm like, dude, this is your dream. You are now living one of your dreams. And this is entertainment. And entertainment you will never entertain when you don't entertain yourself, when you're not enjoying what you should enjoy. So enjoy the process. Whether I stay here 1 year, 6 months, 2 years, I must not regret calling. I chose that space. And from there on, everything that I did for me was have fun, learn as much as I can, try and achieve as many things as I can. As a professional, I turned professional after 24 years. So in my head, I'm like, yes, I'm left with 6 years. In my head, like, it's late.
It's late.
It's
pressure on you.
It's very late. I'm left with 6 years. I must achieve as many things as I can. So at that time, like 26 Chiefs, now it's 4 years left. Like let me achieve as much as I can. And this institution will help me achieve more things in 4 years.
As you were talking, I'm thinking, this has been the dream for you to play for this club. And suddenly you get the situation that the environment becomes too big, there's self-doubt that starts kicking in, you start asking questions to yourself. But then you come up with an answer. And it's a system, it's a formation that you create to say, I'm here now. And there is this thing called time.
Yeah.
I'm not in control, but I'm in control of the situation that I have with me and the situation to play for this particular club. Behind the scenes, does that sacrifice any boots to kick in to say, this is the journey that I've traveled, I need to continue?
Yeah, and I was struggling very boots, right? And now I get the boots every 3 months.
You get soccer.
Now I get soccer with 2 pens, soft and hard, for soft and hard. So every 3 months now I get 2 pens. 6 months down the line, I get a sponsorship salary. So now the boots comes in plus the clothing wear like comes in now. So already it says to me what you've sacrificed, what you've worked hard for throughout, this is very well, part of very well.
Yeah.
But I had an option up to say I had arrived. It's okay. But in me it was the one thing that has always stood in my mind was only 4 years.
To play.
Yeah, only 4 years
To achieve.
To achieve a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
And in that 4 years, there's one Kakamocha. I need to achieve as many things. And I don't want to be this generation that played for Chiefs and didn't contribute to the club, to
The success, part of the history.
In terms of bringing in trophies.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that group of players. So now the pressure is, it's on me. But I know for a fact even other players have that same pressure of winning trophies for the club, even though we didn't tell each other. But I know for a fact players that come they are there to win trophies. And that institution will help them, will assist. It's not like playing for any other team where you need to give. You give for a team.
Yeah.
That team itself help you to win stuff. And that pushed me to keep working. When I achieve one thing, first we win MTN 8.
Yeah.
I would have easily said, Kishapo. So I did. So for me, one thing that I win, it always pushed me to more. To say, that's nothing. You celebrated, you went to a after party or whatever, you celebrated with the team, now that one out of the way.
Then to go with that.
The next one, which is the next one, league game. Let's work hard. I worked hard towards that, to try and give the best me every game that I played.
I'm listening to you making decisions about why you're there. There's a lot of ammunition that you bring into the to the team, the sacrifices. And I'm thinking about you saying the iron boots that time help shape the character that we are seeing. But there's also a critical element because now you're at Chiefs and you've been talking about signing contracts. I think my contract was just a paragraph. And I'm not too sure how many pages yours were. And why I'm asking you this is because I want to find out who was behind guiding interpretation of the contract that you're signing, what you're getting yourself into. Because it then leads into saying to me, like you actually said, who was behind guiding you in that process?
When I went to Cosmos, Glenn Lewis, the DJ.
Okay.
From Cosmos, we went to Chiefs. When I signed my first contract, AmaKhosi gave that contract.
The final.
Yeah, the final.
Eight Lewis.
Ziggy.
Yeah. No wonder there's dancing. Now I know where the influence comes from.
So he negotiated my 2 contracts, Cosmos and the first one, Chiefs. And then obviously the second and the third were pathways.
Yeah.
But he had an influence as well with the Nike contract as well, the Nike deal.
Yeah.
With the first part of obviously my career, Glenn was the most important person in my career in terms of the direction that I am taking.
He speaks his mind as well.
Yeah, that was like I knew when I went to Chiefs, we had offers. Yes. Celtic, but Jay has NASA concluded the Sundowns. So, no shot out on Afela over the Sundowns, kind 10, right? Free Sisters was there. So, already there's 4 or 5 teams. We had chosen vets. Chiefs at that time, not so much in the picture. On the day, where transit not even, and then the office to side. Chiefs called that me. And then we have to go office. I called Glenn, like, hey, dude, you can always do this call. I don't know what to yeah, and then hold and then go. And then like, no. It was like, no, we've spoken and we've promised, like,
Sundowns is waiting.
Like, no, dude, Nike are going to
I had this guy.
You don't want to follow me. It's fine, I'll go there. Because I knew him. Really, he was like Malta because he had promised that we had created interest.
Yeah.
And now this dream now is becoming like no. I'm going there. And in my mind, it's I get to that. It's not a contract.
I'm not.
I know I said, well, I don't know about it. But I know, I'm not going to go on there without a contract. I knew that. But once I was definitely, I'm not going to go out. And we were there, exactly that. I didn't go out without a contract. When we left there, everyone was done. And then I'm like, dude, you are a manager. We can really clap at anything.
You will do the damage for sure. I made my decision. I've got the contract. I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Here with what I'm
But other than that, even more than that, my dream.
This is my dream.
I'm here.
Yeah, and then even the offer was better than any other team that had put on the table. So I'm like, you are not that damage control, that you are.
Let me focus on what I think.
That's a job to do that. We are done. So we'll never now, we don't have to focus on this classical water and the club and just in the time. We don't have to stress now about the club and let's no. That one will start. So now we focus on other things. Well, now, it is your job.
You sacrificed so much when you're still playing for Zara teams 1.5 plus 300 bonuses, with bonuses and that. Now you're in Chiefs. There's lots of changing, bank account, everything sorted. Someone would have said, at least he would have gone and bought so many other things because now there's money and all those type of things. Take me through the journey of you knowing what I've got contract now, I've got proper money that's coming my way. Does it change you into the wrong direction or does it get you to zoom in more to that?
It helps because that's the space now. Say local, it allows me to do much, right? And already when my first sign-on fee there, like, okay, already. Remember, it was 4.5 homes. It was 4.5. And then for me, it was not even enough for the whole family. So I'm like, okay, now there's an opportunity for Ulisa. And at that time, so I'm anyway. So now then like an opportunity to get a home.
Yeah.
So that gave that space. And I did that. It allowed me to do that. And then once I was done and giving the sort of comfortable space, we say now it's fine. We are now comfortable, and the house is sharp. There's a bigger space. Now I can obviously try and go out and buy myself a house. That's what I did.
Fortunately for you, or unfortunately for you, I'm going to ask you this question because your wife is in the media space, and I want to understand who took the mic and said to the other one, now, apart from football, I want to settle with you. Who took the mic? Do you take the mic from her to say, I want to settle with you? Or she says to you, before she interviews you for Man of the Match or winning Nedbank, Kaizer Chiefs, or Man of the Match, she says to you, listen, after this, let's hook up. Who started the conversation?
2010?
Yeah, things happened. 2010.
Yeah, 2010. No, 2009.
Yeah.
This radio station, 2009, 2008, earlier than that.
Yes.
Earlier, this radio station starts, YFM.
Yeah.
There's this voice
Yeah.
in the morning. Every time I go to school, I listen to YFM. It's fresh. Tato.
Yes.
This voice. That is loud, the laugh is loud. But
Yeah.